And welcome back. Well, the holidays are a time when many of us pause and appreciate our good fortune, and that often leads to increased volunteerism and charitable giving.
In fact, most charitable donations are made in the last few months of the year. Probably not surprising.
Give it all away.
With the holidays. Yeah, give it up. Kara Kaiser, Managing Director of BMO Private Bank in Milwaukee, is here with some great advice on how to make the most impact this season and all throughout the year, too.
Yeah,
great to see you.
Thanks for having me. Great
I
to be
hope you
here.
had a great Thanksgiving.
Had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Good to be here this week, too.
Nice to see you. All right, let's talk a little bit about charitable giving. It's obviously very timely because, as we said, most people do a lot of their giving in these last few months.
You're exactly right. You mentioned Giving Tuesday earlier, right? So that was yesterday. And it's very timely for me because it's on our minds at BMO, as yesterday we kicked off the BMO Employee Giving Campaign. And that's our program where employees can collate all of their charitable giving for the year into one campaign. So as you might imagine, for me, knowing that was coming, I pulled out my spreadsheet over the weekend. I know you're shocked. Looked at all my giving from last year and the previous years, which organizations, how much did we give? And as a family, we talked over the weekend and prepped for this day, Giving Tuesday, in our campaign. What do we want to do charitably? Which organizations, how much going into 2019? So maybe not everybody keeps a spreadsheet, I understand. However, being thoughtful, planful, I think, is a very important component of giving.
Well, yeah, I don't know if everyone's as organized as you, but I love that. And many people are. But the whole point is having a budget, like you said, having a budget. But then what if something comes up? Some things happen. Like, I think a lot of people, you know, off budget, were thinking about donating to the fires in California or things like that. And so things happen.
You're absolutely right. And every plan needs to have an ability to be modified, too, right? So what we would recommend is first create your own charitable budget. How much should that amount be? And you can do that a couple ways. Maybe it is how much you gave last year you look at. Maybe it's a percentage of your income. Maybe you've had a tax advisor tell you that you should give this amount to maximize benefits for you. Once you establish that budget, I recommend creating a 50-30-20 rule. So 50% of that budget goes toward those causes that are hair and makeup, most important to you. Hair and makeup. I'm not sure on the charitable side on that, but I'm sure you could find a way.
Things important to you.
30% toward the community, maybe schools, your local church. 20% toward those things. Give yourself room that when those things come up during the year, you've got 20% of that budget so that as you feel compelled during the year, you've got money set aside where you can give and feel good about it.
So what you were talking about, so say you've got this pot of money that you're going to give to charity, not your expenses and your hair and makeup, but of that 100%, how do you divide it up?
That's right.
And then deciding those organizations can sometimes be tricky too.
Yes, absolutely. And an important part of the process. So taking a step back to think about what are your values, what does your family care about? We would advise putting some time into that. What are those organizations that are most important to you? That's going to really help guide your future decisions and be different for every family. You might also consider, would you like to give locally, nationally, or internationally? But once you establish some of these guidelines, it will help you to both donate and volunteer in meaningful and purposeful ways that are in alignment with your family's charitable goals.
I like that. And I like how you mentioned getting the whole family involved early. I think that's so important. So in terms of kids, how do you get them involved early and often?
Absolutely. So some ideas to consider there would be, with children, find out what sparks their interests, right? I mean, that's the most important way for them to get involved willingly. So an example I've got for you is I am the board chair for Make-A-Wish Wisconsin, and I also volunteer with the organization. I was preparing a wish presentation for a family, and my children started asking a number of questions. And that led my young boys to make the decision that they wanted to ask for donations to Make-A-Wish that year in lieu of birthday gifts. That was a great way to do it.
Yeah.
A second way to do it is volunteer as a family. That will help you to actively contribute to a charity, and it will also help you spend family time together. And finally, look for those teachable moments. When your children receive monetary gifts, have a conversation with them about donating a portion of that to charity. And you might find that you'd be surprised by the conversations you have, and that might just spark a tradition of lifetime giving for them.
And it's never too early to start.
It's never too early to start.
Yeah, when they're really young, so that they get that idea of a certain amount going toward a charity. Is part of financial planning, do you ever advise people about charitable giving?
Thank you for asking about that. I think having an overall financial plan is one of the most important steps people should take. And your charitable budget should be definitely a very important component of that plan. So my number one piece of advice is to partner together with a trusted wealth advisor. They should get to know you and your family better than anyone else, and because your goals are different than other families. And once you get to know that person better, you're going to better understand truly their goals, their dreams and aspirations, and the legacy they'd like to leave behind. So to your point, that charitable budget you create should be part of a much bigger wealth plan for your family.
Yeah, it really kind of lends itself to giving you a better overall financial picture.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it really does. I think it's great. So here's some information for how people can contact you. And we appreciate you talking about all this philanthropic planning. It's important to think about this time of year as well. You can email at reply.wealthmanagement@bmo.com or go to the website bmowealthmanagement.com. And you can follow Kara on Twitter as well at Kara L. Kaiser too. So head on out there and get your giving on.
That's right.
Good to see you, Kara.
Thank you so much,
Thanks
Kara.
so much.
Appreciate your time.